Because reading is what?
Fundamental.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Do You Read BTS? I'm Lisa.
And I'm Delize. Welcome back, guys. So this week we did a Kim Taehyung story, which was voted on our different social medias, and it is called Unforgivable. Unforgivable. It is by Singularitaeaddict on Wattpad. This story is completed.
Yes.
This story is completed.
So I want to start by saying this story had me feeling some type of way. I'm sure it had you feeling some type of way too, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good all in all. So in the beginning of the story is girl, y'all know she don't got no name. She YN, so to us she is the girl.
Mm-hmm.
And the story starts off with her reading a letter from JK. And in this letter, JK is pretty much telling her how much he loved her and how much he recognized their love and how much he fell in love with her so hard and all this stuff. But now he has to say goodbye and he just has to, and it just was what it was. And JK was just he just disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And this girl is like, what happened? What happened? Because I just seen him and we was good. Like, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
So she just pretty much crying her eyes out, going crazy like I would have been, because I would have been mad.
Right. No explanation. I mean,
No,
kind of an explanation, but not really.
no, he didn't really give her no explanation. He just said he had to go.
Well, yeah, but he gave her a note. He could have just dipped, and he gave her a note, which didn't help because she still was curious, like what happened.
Right. Right. Like to me, I feel like I'd rather you just had just left and not said nothing at all
Yeah, because there
than to
was so
write
many
that letter.
Yeah, I was gonna say there were so many questions with that letter, and she just had so many unanswered questions.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
jeez.
So she, at this point, her friend comes up. Is her friend a roommate or she just her friend?
No, it's her roommate.
Okay, so her friend's her roommate. She talking to her like, "Girl, what happened?" Like, so she gives her this letter. Let her friend read the letter. The friend got a name. Her
Celine.
name is Celine, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So Celine read the letter. Celine like, well, I can't understand why he would do this because I just seen y'all. Y'all was so lovey-dovey. Y'all so close. I can't see him just leaving like this. Like something is wrong or whatever. And she was like, well, he got that friend Tay. Maybe you need to go talk to Tay.
Now, her and Tay never really talked like that. Like, they
Right.
said a couple words to each other, but there wasn't much conversation happening between them. He kept his distance, she kept her distance, and that was just that on that.
Right. So she goes to Tay house one day. She didn't want to call him because she wanted to talk to him face to face. So she goes to Tay house, knock on the door. Tay's there with Jimmy. Of course, they play. I could just see this scene. They were playing the game, doing the
Mm-hmm.
most like that. And she goes and she's like, "Have you talked to JK? Like, have you seen him?" And he was like, "No, I haven't really talked to him. I tried to call him, but he not really answering the phone or nothing." So I'm confused too. I don't know what's going on or whatever. And she was like, "Yeah, I just haven't seen him or whatever. If you see him, let me know. Or if you talk to him, let me know."
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "All right." That pretty much was like the gist of that part.
Mm-hmm.
So as days go by, she's still kind of still down, still don't know what happened. And I think just take her.
I think Tay calls her or something like that and was like, "Hey, I think I got some information or something like that on JK." Or I think he pretty much
No,
tells.
no, what he did is he said, he called her and he said, "I was thinking we should just go to his house because I know where his spare key is."
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "Oh, I didn't even think about that,"
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. So they ended up going to the house. And this lady was like, his like neighbor was like, "Oh, where's he at?" Or I I ain't seen him. Is he okay? It was like an old lady that was like next door, and she was like, y'all are such a good couple, and I just wanted to know how he was doing or whatever. And that pretty much played it off like he was just gone or whatever, or
Mm.
like he had left for the day or something. And they was there to get something. So they went into the apartment. They just started searching up something. Nothing was untouched.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was in place. So they really didn't get anywhere. Go
Mm-mm.
ahead, D.
So they didn't really get anywhere with that whole thing. So they ended up leaving, but now it's becoming a thing of like, all right, this was kind of like it is what it is, but now it's becoming kind of like a worry because
Uh-huh.
nobody's heard from him. He's not answering the phone. Like nobody's seen him in a while. Like what's going
Uh-huh.
on? So Tay's like, all right, I got some connects. Let me reach out to some people to see what we can find out. So he
Uh-huh.
reaches out to his, is it his cousin?
His cousin.
Okay, his cousin Yoongi, who's like low key a hacker. His dad's in the police force or whatever, but like Yoongi's a hacker. So he goes into like searching all this stuff and he finds some information showing that JK went to the airport. So they see that they see his car parked at the airport, but he's not inside. I guess some homeless people had tried to like break into it and just to get some comfort and things like that. So that's how they knew the car was there. So they look at the cameras because Yoongi was just that good, and they see that he gets out, he's walking around, but he never actually gets on a plane. So
Uh-huh.
now they're like, what is going on? Something is crazy. He had his backpack, he had all black on, like he looked like he was hiding out. So now
Uh-huh.
they're really freaking out because they're like, I don't know what's going on. This doesn't seem right, blah, 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 blah. But that's all the information that they had. So Yoongi was like, all right, bet. I'll keep doing my little search thing. We'll see what happens. And they ended up leaving that spot. But Yoongi tells Tae on his way out, and he thinks the girl is gone. He says, like, you don't need to be messing with that girl because she gonna hurt you. You know this is your
Uh-huh.
best friend's girl. Like, you need to leave her alone. And he's like, I got this. It's not going to be like that. I have these feelings, whatever, whatever. And so I'm debating if I should tell the backstory to that whole thing now or wait till later. But
I think you should just tell the backstory.
okay. So Tay, when he was younger, so him and JK are like the best of friends. They both had some really interesting pasts with their families. So Tay was at like a therapist or a psych's office, and they were getting like evaluated or whatever, and JK was there, and his dad was just kind of crappy towards him. So they started talking to each other at this office and they ended up getting cool. But before that happened, Tay was talking to a little girl that was at the same office. And she was telling him, like, you're not crazy, you're not weird, you're not all this other stuff. And he was like, no, because. So they were having this whole conversation. But at that time, he felt like this little girl understood him and knew. He knew that that was his first little love of his life. Well, come to find out years later, the guy that he met was JK in the office, and the girl that he met was the girl in the
Uh-huh.
story. And he had always, which, you know what? He never told her that.
I was finna say they never even talked about it,
Never even
girl.
talked about it. And I was kind of hoping that they would.
Yeah.
I really wanted that to come to light because I thought that was really cute. Because he
Uh-huh.
said something about it, and then she was kind of like, wait, what? And then they never talked about it again.
Uh-huh.
But so yeah, so they have that whole pass. So Tay's like, I got this, cool, whatever. Well, the girl overhears this, and so when they end up going to, I think they went back to her house, because did something already happen to her by this point?
Well, didn't she go see Hobie? Was that before?
No, that was after.
Oh, okay.
That was after, and I think that was
Oh
after.
yeah, because they went like to coffee or something, and that's when she seen Hobie.
Right,
And Hobie was looking at her crazy, like, what?
crazy. Mhm.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And
So.
she couldn't shake that feeling. Is that
Mhm.
what we at?
Mm, we're a little bit before that because she goes. Actually, does she go out first and then that stuff happened and Tay rescue her and then she sees Hobie?
Oh yeah, that's right. She went. Yeah, I forgot about that. She went out. to the
Okay.
club or something, and she got drunk. Was she
Yeah,
drunk?
she got drugged. So she went out to the club
Oh,
with her
that's right.
homegirl. Yeah, because her homegirl's like, hey, girl, you've been sulking. Let's go out. Let's have a good time. Let's, shake her ass. It'll be fun. So she's like, okay, cool, girl. So they go out. They're having a good time. And there's this guy who's been on her bad. And she's just been like, I don't want you. Leave me alone. This is creepy. He's a professor at her school.
And guess
So.
who it is, y'all? Guess who it is, y'all? Uncle
Uncle
JB.
JB. Yes, it's definitely Uncle JB. So he's pushing up on her at the club, and she kind of pushes him off and is like, leave me alone or whatever, and he leaves quickly, and it's nothing. So she's like, that's odd, but whatever. A few minutes later, she's feeling kind of weird, but she goes outside, and then here come Uncle JB. He pushed her into the alley or whatever, trying to take advantage of
Right, and
her.
see, she thought she seen JK,
Right, which
which she
now,
probably did.
yeah, I'm like, now I'm
Now that
thinking
I'm
she
thinking
did,
about it,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So she went looking. She went looking for JK,
Mm-hmm.
and she ended up outside, and she was like, "Dang, I know I seen him. I know I seen him." And then here come Uncle JB.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, his name, if y'all have not heard that song, his name not Uncle JB. His name just Uncle JB in that last
And
in
that
that
one
story.
story, the one
And we've been
story,
calling we've been calling him Uncle JB ever since.
and he will always and forever be Uncle JB.
Oh yeah, by the way, Uncle JB, honey, that came out, he got a whole girlfriend.
Do he?
Yeah, they came out.
I
They
like
came
it.
out. That he got a girlfriend now, and they like confirmed it and everything.
I like it.
So
Good for him.
yeah, yeah.
So okay, so yeah, so he's trying to get up on her or whatever. She's trying to fight him off, but he's like pressing up on her bad. So then
Uh
she's getting
huh.
scared because he's hurting her, and out of nowhere comes Taehyung and he punches JB bad. Like he pretty much he beats him up like for real.
Good.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
And so that's that kind of that. But ever since that, he's kind of hesitant to have her be by herself because there was a couple of weird things that kind of kept happening to her. And he was just like, you're not safe, so you can stay with me, or you can stay, or I'll stay with you at your house. So this one night, she's at her house and he's
Mhm.
gonna stay there because that's what he's been doing. And she's like, which, anyway, so she ends up telling him, "Hey, you gotta go. We can't do this." Blah 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 blah. Because she had overheard the conversation that him and Yoongi were having about her, and she's like, "I don't want to hurt you. I don't want none of this to happen." Blah 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 blah. And he's like, it's gonna be fine. Like, I don't know why you're saying this, but and then he
Mhm.
ends up going. So she was real mean to him. She was very very rude to him. But he
Yeah.
ends up leaving, and she felt bad about it. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say that what we did miss is that all this, like you said, all this like weird stuff start happening, and before they went to that club, she went in her bathroom.
Oh, I forgot about that.
She went in her bathroom, and it was some writing on the mirror with I guess it said JK is not what he
Seems to be
seems to be. I still don't know who did that.
that. I was thinking about that too because I'm like, he wouldn't have done that. Like, why would? But then, who got in the house and did that? Because there wasn't like broken into.
Oh,
Nobody.
you know who probably did it? Probably JB.
But how he get in her house?
I don't know. I guess the same way he drugs her real easy.
I mean, I don't know. I guess it's possible. I mean, it would
I don't
make
know. How
sense
did anybody
considering.
get in her house? You know?
Yeah. I mean, everybody else had a key. I don't know. It was weird. It was
Yeah.
it was very weird. But yeah, I forgot about that lipstick. So they had wrote on the mirror.
Mhm. So, yeah, weird stuff just start happening. So she ended up having to like stay with. She ended up staying with Tay for a minute,
Yeah, mostly. Yeah.
and I guess it's. Heck, I'm trying to think. As time go by, they kind of just get closer than they supposed to be. And
Mhm.
she, of course, she don't know why she's feeling this way.
Right.
it's a different type of feeling with him than it was with JK. But she also understood that she really loved JK too. So she couldn't understand why she was feeling that way, but it was a different type of feel with Tay.
Mm-hmm.
So as time go by, I guess her and Tay go out to eat,
Mm-hmm.
and Hobie sees her. Now Hobie and JK are friends, and he sees her. He kind of looking at her like, "What the world? Like, how you end up with his best friend?"
Mm-hmm.
So she was just like, "Yeah, we just having dinner, blah blah blah." And he was like looking at her like, "Okay, well, I'm over here too, so to celebrate something they was doing." And he was like, "Well, I'll see you later," or whatever. So she got a weird vibe from that. So the next day, she went to Hobie's
Job.
uh yeah, like his shop. He had on like
A
a
photography
photo.
studio.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, something like that. Um, I didn't even think of it like that. I kind of was thinking in my head like they were developing, like a developing picture place. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I
I
thought.
don't know.
Yeah, that's
It's,
interesting.
yeah. So anyway, so she goes to him. She's asking Hobie, "Do you know what happened? Like I know you know something because you know you gave me that vibe
Mm-hmm.
or whatever." He was like, "I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing. But why are you sitting around waiting on him? Because if he wanted you to know, don't you think he would let you know? No."
Mm-hmm.
And she felt something when he said that part.
Cause he was real.
And
He was kind of rude to her too. Like,
yeah, he was real rude to her.
yeah.
And so she ended up leaving, but she still was like thinking about him saying that, and it made her feel some type of way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like at that moment she was understanding that he can't love me like he was saying because why wouldn't he tell me?
Right. And then Hobie's response, which looking back, it makes sense why he responded that way, but it's also
Mm-hmm.
like that didn't help because she was on a
Yeah,
mission to find what happened to him because now everybody's scared.
right, right.
So,
So I guess she kind of just left. Did she even tell Tay that's where she went?
mm-mm. Nope.
Yes. So she ended up something happened. She said something to him before she left. Almost threatening him, but I can't remember what it was.
She was like, if you don't, cause okay, so then they found out that he had fake IDs and stuff made. So that's one of the reasons why she went over there. She was like, hey, so about these fake IDs and stuff that you make, and Hobie was like, what are you talking
Oh
about?
yeah. Oh yeah, because the reason she knew that is because they was when they was looking for his when they was looking at his airport video,
Mm-hmm.
they were saying how in the world did he even get to any of these without using his name?
Yeah, because he didn't have any of his identification on him because I think it was at the house still. I think that's what they saw when they was at the house.
Yeah.
So yeah, so she was like, "Hey, what's good with these fake IDs and passports?" And he was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And she was like, "Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about? Cool. So you're totally cool with me calling the cops and letting them know what you got going on here, because
Oh
all
yeah,
of a sudden,
because Jen was the investigator. Was
right,
like he was like an intern investigator or something,
right.
and he was helping them out. So she had connection with him. So she was like, "Well, I could just call such and such, and
And tell them
tell him
what
you
you've been
know
up
something."
to. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So he was like, I don't really know what you're talking about, blah blah blah. But then he, I think I don't know. He
He
didn't.
admitted that he made him a fake
Yeah,
ID.
he admitted that he made the fake ID, and that was it. He's like, I don't know what for, because I don't ask people that. That's their business. But I did make a fake ID for him. And she was like, to go where? He says, I don't know all the details, girl. So that's all I got for you. And she was like, all right, that'll do for now. Pretty much.
Uh-huh.
And that was kind of that scene, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I'm
I'm
trying to
trying to think
think
what
where I
else
want to go
happened.
next. Yeah. So there gets to be a point where her and Tay are still getting closer and they end up kissing. Is that too far?
Girl, because I don't know what happened after that.
Okay. So they get to a point where they end up kissing and she starts kind of freaking out, but then she's just like, all right, it is what it is. Like, we'll see what happens. But I feel guilty because she's still real hung up on JK.
Uh-huh.
Stuff is still happening to her, and it's kind of getting wild. She's at school one day because she's in college at this point, and Uncle JB is one of the professors there, and he kind of tried to walk up to her and kind of low key try to hem her up again in public. Thankfully, this time Yoongi pop up and save the day. Now Yoongi just be looking at this girl because she gonna break my cousin's heart. I don't want to see this, but whatever. And she's just like, I'm not really about that. I'm just trying to chill. So but he ends up saving her, and then he ends up telling her, I don't even think they really speak about it, but
no, because she was trying to explain it. He was like, "Oh, not my business,
not my business." But then promptly turned around and told Tay what happened, but it wasn't his business.
Right.
So it wasn't his business. But he did talk about, so it was a thing about how beat up he was, and I guess he had a really nice face and stuff like that, so people were like, she was worried that it would come back that Tay did that and that their reputation would be ruined because everybody would think it was because of her and all this other stuff, and they would never see that he was a bad dude because everybody liked Uncle JB. So one of her homegirls was a busybody, and she knew everybody's tea, so she was like, I'm gonna find out what happened. And then I don't know what came of that after that, but yeah, so Yoongi was like, not my business or whatever, but he told Tay. And then Tay ends up asking her, like, what happened? Like, did anything else happen? And she finally goes, yeah, JB tried to hit me up, blah, 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 but Yoongi, and he's like, yeah, I already know. Yoongi told me. So then he's really, really, like, worried about her, even more than he already was from jump. So now he's like, all right, girl, you're not about to be by yourself at all. You about to hang out with me, which honestly, thinking back, it's like he was real protective over her.
But she still was by herself.
I mean, she was still by herself a lot.
She still was by herself because, like, right after that, that's when, like, she was, like, walking from school or something. And that's when she got backed into that corner. She found out somebody was following her. She was like, she thought it was Uncle JB following her.
Oh, yeah. And it was none other.
JK. And then he was telling her, oh, I was trying to leave you, but you were so persistent about finding me. I couldn't just not tell you what was going on. And so he ended up kind of telling her, but not telling her anything at the same time. He basically was just like, I can't tell you what's going on, but I'm in danger. And she was like, tell me. And he would not tell her. And she just like broke on him. And she was just like, how can you say you love me for this long time, but you don't even trust me enough to tell me? And she was like, but she was saying, but you told Hobie or whatever. And she didn't even know that he told her, but she knew he knew. And she was like, but you told him, but you couldn't even tell me. You supposed to love me. I would have went to the end of the world for you. Like, how could you not tell me? Like, and he started crying. It was so emotional. And then he was just like, just know I love you and all that kind of stuff. And he kind of dipped out.
Right. And then at some point he was like, he ends up calling, I think he texts her and tells her to meet him at Hobie's shop this day at this time or whatever. So she's like, all right. Mind you, Tay has been like picking her up from school, taking her places just to make sure she's straight.
Girl, her and Tay, they already messed around. They already had sex and everything by then.
Like feelings was there, like for real.
Yeah, hard.
Yep. So, super side note, still part of the story, but side note, her homegirl, Celine, her homegirl and Jimin got a little thing going on. And so Celine been out here doing her own thing with Jimin, but Jimin is not like kind of like a playboy. But he really, like, I guess, really feels some things for Celine, so they be doing their thing. But a lot of the times why Celine's never around is because she be with Jimin.
Right.
Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
They didn't really talk too much about it, but you knew they was together.
Right, you knew they was together, doing something.
So she ended up meeting JK at Hobie place. and they go back in the back area. That's why I said I thought it was like a developing place because it was like a red room. I don't know. It might not have been like that, but in my head, that's how it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was a red room back there,
The
and they
dark,
was back.
the dark room.
Huh?
You talking about the little development, like the dark room?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, and it might have not even had that in the story, but in my head, that's how I picture it. Y'all know how I get down with the scene. I picture the whole thing. So he kind of just started telling her about everything then. He started
Mm-hmm.
telling her about how his parents was in the mafia and they wanted him to take over, but he didn't want to take over.
Wait.
Come to find out he was
Okay, there we
adopted.
go.
Yeah, he was adopted. He wasn't even adopted, he was
She was
stolen.
stolen. Yep.
He was stolen from his parents because they could not have a baby. And they stole him from his parents and they raised him up
Mm-hmm.
as they son. But the whole time he knew that he was not loved.
Mm-hmm.
So he will always think, why don't my mama love me? Like she don't act like she care about me or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They come to find out that's the reason why. It's because they stole him, thinking they were going to love him, but end up didn't even really love him like they wanted, like as if that was a kid.
I
So
was
they want. Go
sorry.
ahead.
I was not
Go ahead.
expecting the story to take that type of turn.
Right.
I just wasn't. I kept thinking. I'm trying to decide if I should just say this now or if I should wait, but I'll just wait. Okay, go ahead.
So they end up. He tell her all the story about how his parents didn't love him, how they wanted him to take over for they little organization, and he was not about that life. He wanted to live a good life, and how JB was a nephew or how
So
was the
JB was um he's the son of JK's foster dad's friend.
business partner?
Yeah, so like his right hand man was JB's dad.
Uh huh.
So JB was also involved in the business,
Right.
but not many people knew that, except a few though,
Uh huh.
because he had this persona to be like this professor that was just such a nice guy when really he was scum.
Baby, you know who knew everything. Talking about it ain't my business. Yugi.
Yoongi
Yugi
knew
knew everything.
everything.
Yugi.
Everything. Talk about something. It's not ain't got nothing to do with me. All in the tea.
All in the team knew everything the whole time.
Mm-hmm. And this ain't nothing to nobody. He could have helped out a lot
Right.
of people.
Right. Could have saved everybody some heartbreak.
Right.
So anyway, um basically JK telling her the whole story, everything that need to be said. And then Hobie comes back and he's like, somebody's outside of the shop at a blacked out van or whatever. And he was like, take my car, take my car. So he took his car, him and the girl jump in the car together.
After much
She
fight.
Yeah, he was like, you coming tonight? Is you coming? He was like, come on, girl, you coming. And so he ended up pushing her in the car. They took off going to wherever he'd been hiding for the last couple of weeks. So as they are speeding down to wherever they're going, because in my head they was on the highway, but then they end up cutting off in the woods. Is that how you pictured it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay. So they was following them, and as they was following them, they was shooting girl.
Mm-hmm.
So instantly, I thought about motorsport.
Me too.
So anyway, so they were shooting at them or whatever. They ducking and dodging bullets. At this time, Hobie ain't got no windows, okay?
Right.
And they end up. I don't know what happened, but it was like a deer or something in the woods, and they hit the deer, flipped over, and the car caught on fire. So JK and the girl got away. They end up going far off deep in the woods where Hobie had like his family had like this like little cabin or whatever. And so they go in there. They basically talk. She basically tell him that she involved with Tay or whatever. He get mad, instantly get jealous.
Right.
And go ahead, D.
After all of that, I thought it was crazy because I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like you feel away because that's your best friend, but you really left this girl, didn't tell her nothing, wouldn't be honest with her. This is somebody you were in a whole relationship with, and now you really about to be mad because she tried to move on. And yeah, I get it's your best friend, but like, really?
Girl, sometimes feelings just be feelings. You can't help it.
I know. But so yeah, she tells him, he feels a way about it. But then when she tells him all this stuff, here he go trying her. And he tried her and he win. She was putting up a good fight, but she
Right, because
lost.
at first he was being an asshole about it.
Yeah, and then he was trying to kiss on her and do all this other stuff. They end up doing stuff.
Oh, because he told her, he said, you are the type of person you are, you love a thrill.
He's like, "Isn't he boring for you?"
Mm-hmm.
She was like, first of all, mind yours.
Mm-hmm. But he was like, yeah, you love the thrill. You just don't never know what's gonna happen, and you always want to find out. And she was like, no, you wrong. This is not true. He was like, is it? Is it? And he getting closer and closer to her, and
Mm-hmm.
he started kissing on her, and cause she do love a good thrill.
Mm-hmm.
She let her go down.
Mm-hmm. And then she immediately felt bad.
Uh-huh.
And then she was sitting there chilling and his phone go off and some girl's name pop up on the screen. I forgot what her name was, something with the J.
Yeah.
Jaya or something like that. Anyway, the name pop
Uh-huh.
up on the screen and she immediately freaks out and is like, "Oh, She goes into the bathroom
Oh
cuz
yeah,
she's
cause she see that text message.
yeah, and it's like a cute little nickname for him, so she immediately spaz and he
Yeah,
wait
and the message was so like it wasn't even really meant to freak out over, but
mm
it was something like when you get back, let me know, or something like that.
yeah. And that was
Uh-huh.
it. She freaked out. She was upset about it. And so she was trying to get out the house. Mind you, they just went on this speed chase. They're in a cabin in the middle of the woods. There ain't nothing around
Girl,
them.
yeah, this is the whole next morning.
Yeah, so she
They
well,
didn't
no,
spent the whole night
well,
together.
no, it's still dark because she ends up going into the bathroom, locking herself in the bathroom. And he's like, "Can we just talk? Can we just talk?" And she's like, "Yeah, we'll talk in a second. Whatever, whatever." She hops out the window.
Yeah, but it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning type
Yeah,
thing. It was
it
still
it
dark,
was still
but
dark.
it was
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning,
So
and she was mad. He knew she was mad.
mhm.
And then he was like, "You got it wrong. Let me explain. Let me explain." She was like, "Just give me some time. Just
Mhm.
let me have some time." And while she was spending that time, she was jumping out that window.
Yep, she was jumping out the window. And so when she gets out the window, she's like, "Who can I call?" She tried to call Celine. Celine don't answer the phone. So she
Cause
calls
she was Jimmy.
yeah, she with Jimmy. And then Tay has been blowing her phone up cuz she's been missing. So
Uh-huh.
she had all this stuff that was going on, and now she just up and disappears. So now he's freaking out. So he called her a hell of times, and it just so happened that his call was coming through again. So she answered the phone, is like, "Hey boo, come and get me. I don't know where I'm at." He's like, "Are you good?" She's like, "I don't really know." And she sends her location to him. He comes and scoops her, and he don't really say much to her. Like she's in the car, they're silent, and he's like, "Do you wanna?" She's like, "Do you wanna know what happened?" And he's like, "I'm just waiting for you to talk, girl." So she starts to tell
Uh-huh.
him what's going on, but she don't tell him everything, but she tell
Uh-huh.
him enough of what was going
Right.
on. And so something else that is mentioned a little bit later, Tay knows JK's story.
Yeah.
So, which honestly, this all could have been avoided if he would have just been like, I mean, I get it, it wasn't his story to tell, but
But if you love somebody the way they were saying they were loving this girl, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Like I feel like if you love somebody that much the way they were saying, listen, I know this ain't my story to tell, but girl, I love you. I
mhm.
just need to tell you, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like he could have answered some of the questions early
Uh-huh.
if they would have been like, "Oh crap, this might be this because his whole family is the lie." Like they were loaded. The family was loaded, all this other stuff, but they were like in drugs and firearms, all
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But I feel like they could have, if somebody would have mentioned it, I feel like it would have been like, oh, okay, this makes sense. This might be
Most
why.
definitely. It'd be done in a day. That day they were looking for
Yeah, it would have been like, oh, okay, this is why he's missing. Okay, cool.
him. Yeah.
So she's telling him what happens in the car. It is what it is. He feels a way about it. And then he drops her off and leaves. So now she's like, oh,
Right.
crap.
But don't that same day she was like, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And he was like, I graduate tomorrow.
Right. And she's like, oh, crap, I forgot. He's like, yeah, you've been busy with other things.
Mm-hmm.
Real
Right.
shitty. Um,
Right. And so she was like, "Well, can I come?" And he was like, I think he told her he didn't care if she came or
if you want
something
to,
happened.
or yeah, if you
Yeah.
have free time.
Yeah, so he take her back home. She talked to Celine, tell Celine everything that pretty much didn't happen. And then that day, because it's like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, so that evening she was getting ready. She got up, got dressed, still going through a lot because what's in her head about JK,
Mm-hmm.
and she going to this graduation. So she got ready. She's going to graduation, and she meets her with none other than Kim Nam June.
So she's out with Celine first, and then Celine's like, "Hey, girl, you gotta go because you only got this much time." So as she's
Oh, okay.
rushing out to
hmm
go to the graduation, she runs into Namjoon. Okay, go ahead.
So basically, she was like, "Do I know you?" He was like, "No, but I know who you are, and I need to talk to you. You need to give me some time or whatever." But I think she already knew who Nam June was. What didn't she? Because didn't he tell her that or maybe she didn't know who he was, but JK did tell her that he was his cousin in America,
Yeah, so
was helping him,
she knew of him, but she didn't
but she didn't
know
know who he
him. Yeah,
was.
she didn't know what he looked
hmm
like. She didn't know nothing like that, but she knew of him.
Right. So he was like, he was like, just let me talk to you for about 15 minutes. No, let me talk to you for a minute. And she was like, no, I'm busy. I got to go. I got something to do or whatever. And he was like, I'm not taking no for an answer. And she was like, fine, I got about 15 minutes. So they went into a coffee shop. He ended up telling her that he is JK's cousin, wealthy,
Mm-hmm.
wealthy cousin that lives in America. JK did end up going to America
Mm-hmm.
and but was so distraught with her that he had to come back to Korea to tell her
Mm-hmm.
about what happened because he couldn't get over her. And then Hobie kept telling her how she was still looking for him and he just couldn't get over it.
Mm-hmm.
So he went back to America and Namjoon was telling her that he was telling him not to go back, not to go back or whatever. And then she was like, basically was like, well, how did he get over here without being seen? He was like, because I got a private jet. Duh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, money just radiating off of him.
Right.
So, but he was telling him he was so hard out for you that he had to come. So I just let him come, thinking that he would let you know what was up and he will be back in no time with you. But that didn't happen. So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm here to come and get him and I don't know where he at.
Right. And he's like, but you should really hear him out because so at some point, JK told Namjoon what happened the night before. And so he was like, you really should hear him out because everything's not as what it seems. And Homegirl's like, it is what it is. I'm done. We done. Like, I don't have nothing to say to this
Uh-huh.
man. He's like, nah, you should really hear him out. So by this point, the conversation is kind of going and she's looking at the time, but he gets a phone call. So when he gets a phone call, he's like, hey, I have to take this. So he answers it and he answers, hey, I think the girl's name is Jaya. Jay or
Uh-huh.
something like that, which is the girl's names that she saw on JK's phone. So he's like,
Uh-huh.
hey, blah, 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 cool, thanks so much, blah, blah, blah. So old girl's like, she's connecting some dots and's like, dang, who's that? So then he's like, yeah, that's my sister. She's the lawyer. She's the one that's been helping JK do all this stuff. She just wanted to know if I had heard from him, all this other stuff. So it clicks in her head, but she's still
Uh-huh.
like, okay, got it, but I gotta go. So then she goes and leaves to go to the graduation.
And she make it right on time.
Make it right on time.
So she go to the graduation, make it. She see him. He hug her like he just didn't even want to talk about. He just wanted to love on her. He was like, "You made it.
Mhm.
Thank you for making it." Like, cause at this point he's in love with her.
Mhm.
Pretty much already. I always have loved her, so that's why the love is so deep with him.
Mhm.
So they go to the graduation. They get to talking or whatever. And don't they he's like gonna take her somewhere. They was going somewhere.
They were gonna go eat, so everybody was gonna split up because Jin, Jimin, Yoongi, like everybody was there kicking it,
Yeah.
and so they were gonna go off to eat. So some of the guys split off and had already left, and Tay and her were getting ready to go off in his car, but she's looking and she's noticing she sees a guy that looks like JK, and it is
Mhm.
JK
Mhm.
staring at her with anger and fury in his eyes.
Yep. No, but she see that while he like during the ceremony, ain't it?
It's when they're like all hanging out, like where
Oh, like when they about to like just go their separate ways
yeah,
to
yeah,
meet up
yeah,
at the
yeah,
restaurant.
yeah. Mhm.
So as she getting in the car with Tay, um, to go to the restaurant, all of a sudden, them niggas both black out, don't they? Something happened. No, no,
Mhm.
no. They
No, you're
come and
right.
get her. Yeah, they come and something happened. They put a cloth over her mouth. That's what it is. And she sees Tay looking at her with the cloth on his mouth, and then they get him. So when she wake up, they both in this area that they don't even know where they at. Now Tay on the floor then got beat up bad. So they wake up, Tay beat up super bad. Like how they make it sound in the book, like he almost dead.
Mhm. Mhm.
And they didn't really mess with her, but she tied up or whatever. Is she tied up or not tied up?
No, she was tied up, and so Uncle JB's little brother is in the room messing with them, and he like
Mhm.
they trying to get information out of her.
Mhm.
Um, he's
And they
nuts.
trying to find out where he at. We know you know where he at. We know you
Right.
know. And she was like, I do not know where he at. I have not talked to him in so long. Didn't you
Mhm.
see I was with Tay and all this stuff? So go ahead, then.
Yeah, so eventually the dad comes in, which is JK's dad's right hand man. He comes in, is
Uh-huh.
like, look, we need to get this information, blah 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 blah. So then they keep beating on Tay, and he's like, if you don't tell me the information that I want, I'm gonna pull him apart limb from limb. And she's like, I don't really know what else to tell you. Like, I don't know. This is all I
Right, because
got.
that, I forgot, because that brother, he was about to rape her and everything,
Sure
honey.
was, and they was like, hey, you're tripping.
Yeah, the daddy came in to say the day on that one.
Right. And then so something we didn't mention, when that whole thing happened with JB, Tay and Yoongi were having a conversation with her, and they was like, it's taken care of. So homegirl's like, what did you guys kill him? What did y'all do? Like, what happened? Come to
Uh-huh.
find out, they ended up um he ended up getting arrested and going to jail.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, they're talking crazy about, his brother trying to do stuff to her, and the dad's like, look, we're not gonna do any of that. But they beating up Tay, and they're like, you're gonna give us the information that you want. And then I'm not really sure how it happens. I think the door opens up and JK's standing there and Yoongi's standing there.
Yeah, I was a little bit confused about that. It really didn't go into detail what happened.
No.
Just know that they kicked their ass or something happened,
Something
and
happened.
and they was there to save the day.
And then the dad and the brother got arrested because you so okay. So at the graduation, JK was gonna walk up to the girl and say how he felt and all this other stuff, and was following them. So when he followed them, he saw that they got snatched up, and he knew automatically who that was doing it. So he
Uh-huh.
followed them and was like, crap, I can't handle this by myself. So he called
Uh-huh.
Yoongi. Yoongi called his people, and that was
Yuki
Jin
had a squad, okay?
squad.
He
Squad.
had his own, but he had a gang too or something.
He called Jin, and then Jin called all his people for backup. So they ended up
Oh.
that's how they ended up getting them arrested, like legally. So that
Uh-huh.
they got all that taken care of. So that was handled. But they had to get Tay to the hospital because homeboy was not doing well.
Right.
So they get him to they get him on the way to the hospital. Homegirl's freaking out. She's like, Tay, Tay, Tay. JK's in the back hating because he like, dang, I really lost my girl, which he did. And
Mm-hmm.
they get to the hospital. Homeboy's still unconscious, and they're trying to kind of get everything situated. As time goes on, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, girl.
As time goes on, and while Tay's in the hospital, um, her and Yoongi kind of have a cute little moment, and he's like, I was wrong about you, girl. My bad. You actually good people. You
Mm-hmm.
good people. You care about him. I didn't realize that you care about him like that, but I can see it now. Like you really went above and beyond for this man. So she's like, yeah, I really love him. Blah 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 blah. All right. So then I think it's him that points outside and is like, hey, somebody want to go talk to you, but I'll call you when Tay wake up. So she's like, all right, bet. She go outside, and there's JK standing out. He just pops up. He disappears. He pops up. You never
Mm-hmm.
see it coming.
Right.
So she go outside to talk to him, and he's sharing all of his feelings and emotions with her, which is not something he had done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're pretty much just talking about everything, and he's giving her more insight to things, and he's having a hard time because he's like, I'll always love you and I'll always want to be like with you. Is this the time he asked her to run away with him?
Yeah, he asked her, and then she ended up telling, I love Tay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a different type of love, and I'm not really sure what it is, but I just know that I need to be with him.
He felt away.
Right. He felt some type of way, but he understood because he understood that because he was telling her, you know, you right. He probably love you better. He could probably love you better than I can, and all this stuff. So she leaves, and he go and talk to Tay. And so when he went and talked to Tay, Tay, he was basically telling Tay, take care of her. And I know she love you, and I know you love her, and you probably been loving her for a minute now. And it's like an understood thing because I think they knew about her in the therapy stuff, but I don't think she knew about them.
She didn't. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think it clicked for her ever.
Ever.
Which is I kind of wanted to know, but yeah.
So, he just disappeared, and he basically told Tay he was going back to America. So
Mhm.
he left after that, and she never did see him after that, and they didn't never see him no more after that, I don't think.
Mhm.
And so Tay ended up getting released. I don't know because he was acting like he was on the deathbed, but they released him the next day.
Talk about something. He was dehydrated. That's what got me. He was just dehydrated and a little bit beat up. I was like,
Right. So after that, they go back. She do he go back to her place? Cause no, he go back to her place. Cause no, she go to her place to get some stuff, but they end up going back to his place because she had to take care of him
Mhm.
while he finished healing.
Mhm.
So they kind of just got closer and told each other how much they really loved each other and ended up having a lot of sex, even though
Mhm.
he was supposed to be hurt.
All right. Supposed to be recovering and whatnot.
And then what did?
So then they end up going out. So everything's doing good right now. Everything's cool. He's recovered. They've had some sex and stuff by since then, and they're now going to I think it was a graduation party for Jin because he was like being promoted to the actual force.
Uh-huh.
So she goes to this party with him. Everything's cool, but she starts kind of feeling like a little bit blah. So she wants to go home. She's been a little bit off since this whole thing transpired.
Right.
And Tay consents it, but he hasn't really said anything at this point. So they go out. They're having a good time, but then she's like, hey, I think I'm going to just head home. It'll be
Yeah, because
fine.
she see Hobie. She see Hobie again.
Oh, yeah, because he was there celebrating his sister's birthday or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and she's like, something don't feel right. Cause
Uh-huh.
he was kind of looking her up and down like,
Yeah, and it made her have anxiety.
mm-hmm. So she bounced and went home. Well, she went to Tay's house, or did she go to her house? She went to somebody's house. And he said he would meet her there later on. So she's like, okay, cool. And she gets home. She kind of gets comfortable, and her phone starts ringing from an unknown number. It's J.K.
Uh-huh.
So he's just like, hey, I just wanted to see how you're doing, what's been up, how's things going with you and Tay, blah 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 blah, all this other stuff. So maybe no sooner than she hang up, Tay walks in the door and notices that her phone is still bright. So she's like, yeah, JK called me, and here he go. Is that why you left? Is that why you
Right.
wanted to? And I was just like, ah.
Right, right, because the conversation her and JK was having was he was like saying, you need to tell him, you need to talk to him. Tay's the type of person that need to know this stuff, and
Mhm.
he's good for you, and he will understand everything you going through. Because she was telling him that she was having the anxiety, and
Mhm.
she fell off ever since that happened. And he was like, you should talk to him. He will understand.
Mhm.
So now go ahead. He went off.
He went off about the whole thing, and she was just like, wait, I get it, but like this isn't, it wasn't that. And he
Uh-huh.
ends up being really upset about it, and is like, I'm just gonna go, we'll talk about it later or whatever. So he ends up leaving, and I guess like she tells her homegirl about it. Homegirl's like, you really do need to talk to him or figure out something so that you guys can have that conversation. So she's like,
Yeah,
okay,
that
cool.
was so weird. Okay, it's so weird. Why you talking to JK but you can't talk to your man?
Right.
But go ahead.
You're right. You're
Now
right.
you understand what I was saying.
No,
But
I
go
do
ahead.
understand what you're saying, but I also understand that they had a relationship where it was just they had a bond at that point, so she probably just felt more comfortable because, which is weird though, because he hadn't shared much with her.
Go ahead, girl.
You know what I mean? Like JK didn't share a lot with her. So for her to feel comfortable enough to share with him, and she anyway. All right, she talked to Celine. Celine's like, yeah, girl, you probably should talk to him. She's like, all right, whatever. So he ends up texting her and is like, hey, I'm out, or come outside. So
Uh-huh.
she comes outside. She gets in the car. He ends up dropping her off at the therapist's office. He's like, hey, you can talk to this person if you want to talk to me after. Cool. If not, I understand. But just know, like, I'm here for you. I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
be here for you. Like, I just want to make sure that you can get whatever you need out. So she decides she's talking to the doctor, which in the flashback that they did when they were talking about the therapist and stuff that they were seeing,
Uh-huh.
wasn't the one of them her parent? Cause she was
Oh,
like, my dad, blah 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 blah. My daddy always told me blah 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 blah.
no, I didn't get that. I didn't get that from it. Like that was a whole nother therapist she was talking to. It was a lady.
No, I know, but I'm saying like,
I think she was talking to her like mom on the phone about it a little bit at some point. But I think the therapist that she seen was somebody that he knew because he had already been talking to that therapist.
right, but from what I the names that were in the flashback, it looked like it was the same name. I have to look again because I'm not sure, because it looked like it was the same name. That's why I brought it
Oh, you
up.
know what? That makes sense, really, because that's how they met. And her daddy was the therapist.
Right. That's why I was like, anyway. Um. So
I
she,
don't know.
yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up because I was like, how did they? But okay. So she talks to the therapist. She feels a lot better about things, and she's like, all right, cool. I need to talk to my man about it. Like, this is what we'll do. So they end up having a conversation. He's like, yeah, I figured you were suffering from a little bit of PTSD. Like, I'm glad that you want to discuss this with me now. Like, I just want you to know that I'm there for you, but I could tell that something was off and that you didn't want to discuss it with me, but I don't want to push. So she's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm sorry, babe. I love you. Blah, 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 blah. Everything's cool.
Hmm.
What else happens after that?
That was pretty much it, really, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, I think so. They had some more sex. That was
Hmm.
about really it.
Yeah, that was just about it. That was pretty much the end of the story, guys.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you. And this is what I was telling Dee, but she made me quit talking. But I really felt like her and JK had, even though he didn't like talk to her about a lot of stuff that happened in his past, they had a deeper relationship, I think, than her and Tay did. Now I know in the story, her and Tay had a different type of relationship. But it just seemed like they were so in love. JK and the girl was so much more in love. And this is what I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's because he's my bias or what, but that's just how I felt like.
I don't know, cause I feel like yeah, they had a deep love, but I also feel like the love that they had was like a puppy love, whereas her and Tay had more of a grown up like type of love, where it was kind of a little bit more realized than maybe her love with JK. But then I also think about it now that I like we're going through the story again. I also think they were bonded through a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
So that
But
is
the time that they had together, they was all about JK.
right. So there was a
So,
lot with that, but I don't know. I feel like it was just different.
well, I thought she was going back to JK.
I There was a point where I thought she was going to leave, and she seemed like she was having that thought of going back and forth too, because he
Uh-huh.
told her about herself when he called. He was like, "I know you better than you know yourself," and he's like, "You've been debating if you made the right decision."
Right, because he asked her to go to America with him.
Mhm. But so what I was going to say about this story was I was not expecting it to go the way that it went. I
Uh-huh.
fully thought, and this is just because a lot of the Tay stories that we read, he's nuts in them, most of them.
I love him.
I do too. I think they're great stories. But because of that, I expected Tay to be behind it all.
Oh
That's what I
yeah,
kept thinking. I kept thinking like he
yeah.
was
Cause you
behind
remember,
it.
because I started reading this story before you remember,
Mhm.
and I said I got a feeling that Tay got something to do with it. Remember
Yeah.
I said that?
Yeah, I kept thinking that, and then like the entire time it never came to be, and then when the thing with his family not being his family and all that, I was like, "What?"
Oh yeah, because you know what? What we didn't mention is that, like you said, we didn't mention that she found out that Tay knew about this whole thing
Oh
when they
yeah.
was in that when they were locked up together when they was held hostage.
Yeah.
She found out then that he was like, I should have told you about him. I should have told you.
Mhm.
I would have been pissed off
Right?
because I didn't went through all of this and all you had to do is just tell me what's up.
Right. And she was understanding. She's like, "That wasn't your truth to tell." He's like, "I know, but still not even that." And that's good on her for being like that. But I'd be like, "Bro, you could have saved me so much heartache." If you
Hmm.
would have just let me know he had some stuff going on in his life, I could have moved on. I mean, she did,
Right.
but like, you know,
But I wouldn't have been dodging them bullets in the woods.
okay. Asking all these questions, he telling her to lay down. She's like, "I'm not laying down. I'm blah, 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 blah." He's like, "Girl, if you don't lay your behind down, you're gonna get shot."
Hmm.
He had already gotten shot in his shoulder.
Right. Oh
She,
yeah, I forgot about that part.
I didn't. Her whole time she was running her mouth. He was like, "If you don't sit your ass in the back seat and leave me alone," she's
Right,
like,
and
"No,
she wanted to
I'm gonna
sit
sit
in
in
the
the
front
front.
seat.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit in the front.
Right.
I'm gonna be right beside you." Now all of a
I'ma
sudden she's
sit
scared. I'm a
beside
stick beside him. Like, girl, you almost lost your life beside him. Like, a mess, a whole mess.
him. Yes.
That
So
was
I don't
crazy.
know how'd you feel about it.
I like the story. It took a turn that I wasn't expecting, which I actually liked because I thought I could predict it and I couldn't.
Hmm.
I liked the fact that it was detailed enough without being overly detailed. I feel like I say that for the last couple of stories, but it was a quick story to get through.
Right,
Um,
right,
it
right,
was
right.
very entertaining. Like the smut wasn't super detailed. Like it was
It
there
was
and it
just enough.
yeah, it was just enough. I feel like that
Hmm.
mixed with the amount of drama that was in it, and because it had that twist, I just really
Hmm.
enjoyed it. And I just kept thinking something else was gonna happen that didn't. Even with like Uncle JB and them, I thought it was gonna. I don't know what I thought was gonna happen with that, but I didn't think he was going to
Yeah,
jail. I thought they killed him.
right.
I did. I thought they killed him.
Me too.
So, but I like the story. I really did. I enjoyed it. Um, the description of stuff I really liked too. She,
Yeah.
whoever wrote this had a very useful they use a lot of colorful language, and I like that.
Right.
How did you feel about it?
I loved it actually. Like you said, it was a nice, quick read. It didn't take a long time to read.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. I did think that she was gonna end up with JK. I did think that their love was a little stronger, but that's just me being a JK stan.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way JK embraced them at the end and actually turned into her friend.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I love her and Tay together. I do like a little crazy Tay, but that's okay too. I liked him in this story the way he was.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, I feel like we don't get enough stories of Tay just being normal. Like it's
That's
always
very
him.
true.
Yeah, it's always him doing something real wild, and you're just like, dang, okay.
I like it. I
I do
like
too.
it when
It's
he wild.
entertaining. Don't get me wrong, but it set me up for failure in this
Right.
story because I did. I expected him to be off the chain.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So yeah, I like the story.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we did it. Next week, well, I guess technically it'll be. Well, we'll just say next week. Next week, we're gonna be doing a one shot. So Lisa's gonna be doing a one shot. I'm gonna be doing a
Uh-huh.
one shot, and then we're gonna be retelling the story to each other and to y'all,
Yeah.
so that y'all can hear it as we go through it.
Right.
It
So
will.
that'll be fun because it'll be
Mm-hmm.
like you telling me the story and I'm telling you the story. We don't know.
Exactly, exactly. So
Uh-huh.
that'll be pretty cool. And then following that, we'll have another episode which we'll announce later on. But
Uh-huh.
as always, you guys can follow us at Do You Read BTS podcast, pod variations of it on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. If you have any recommendations, you can always DM us through those same sites as well, or you can email us at doyoureadbts@yahoo.com.
Uh-huh.
I think that is everything.
Yay.
Yay, thanks guys.
Bye.
Bye.